Will COVID-19 have a lasting effect on the superyacht industry? Erik Floor, industry expert and author of the annual SeaBass economic report, is with us to answer that question. Drieberge, CEO of Hypsos, will look into the future of boat shows. Alessandra Nenci of Fraser Yachts will tell us if we're going to see new, innovative ways to sell super yachts. And Arthur Brouwer, CEO of Heesen Yachts, shares his insights on how shipyards can come out of this crisis stronger than before. I'm Charlotte Kahn, and welcome to the first episode of YachtTalk by Heesen. Well, as you all know, these are very special times for everyone, and unfortunately there's no exception for the superyacht industry. But exceptional circumstances always spark innovative ideas. With boat shows cancelled and travel restrictions limiting shipyard visits, Heesen has decided to take action and launch YachtTalk, the first ever talk show dedicated to yachting. On each show, we will discuss relevant topics with leading experts from our industry. So YachtTalk is like a visit to the shipyard where we talk business, but also catch up on a more personal level. So I'm really happy today to introduce the guest for this first episode of YachtTalk. Alessandra Nenci is the CFO of Fraser Yachts, one of the leading brokerage agencies. She is joined by Erik Floor, who is an expert on the superyacht and luxury industry and author of the latest SeaBass economic report. Drieberge is the CEO of Hypsos, specialist in building brand experiences, including boat shows. And our table is completed by Arthur Brouwer, who is the CEO of Heesen Yachts. So welcome to all of you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting.
Now, with so much going on in our world today, let's catch up with a round of news. The Fort Lauderdale Boat Show is still on the calendar. The 5-day outdoor boat show will take place from October the 28th to November the 1st. Needless to say, the boat show will be smaller and under tight guidelines. This year, organisers will cap capacity at roughly 28,000 people. Arthur, will you be going?
No, we're not going. I think many of the industry partners in Europe have decided not to go because most of our clients are limited in travels from Europe to the States. And if you come to the States, there's an additional problem that a lot of our team members should go into quarantine. And that would, let's say, impact our efficiency very, very hard.
Yeah, it's very restrictive indeed. Alessandra, will you be attending?
No, we won't be attending the Fort Lauderdale Yacht Show, but we will be present with our US team, obviously. So let's say this is part of the strength of being widespread in the world. And it will be interesting because I think it's the first real exercise on how to, reformat or rethink a yacht show in this situation. Obviously, as a first exercise, it won't be perfect, but it's a good start to move on for the next year.
Thank you very much. Well, that's it from our news desk. Let's move on to the main theme of our show. Now, as we all know, COVID-19 has significantly changed the yachting world in the past 6 months, and it looks like we're not out of the woods yet. Erik is an expert on this industry and the author of the annual SeaBass economic report. Over the past 12 years, his report has grown into the industry's leading market analysis. I believe the latest edition has just gone to print, and it will be launched officially to the SeaBass members on the 6th of October. But Erik is here to give us a glimpse of the key trends he sees happening right now. So Erik, thank you very much for joining us. To start with, can you give us an overview of the report? What is it all about?
Yeah, it basically tries to give a picture of the superyacht industry in a multi-year view. So it's not focusing on one single year, but it looks at long-term trends. And we typically look at 3 different things. 1, how is the world economy doing at this point of time? 2, how are the ultra-wealthy of this world doing? How is the trend going up over there? And then the third one we look at is how is the superyacht industry, so the orders and launches, doing? And if you look at these 3 different views, then on the first view, yeah, it's undeniable. This is the biggest recession, the biggest hit our economy has gotten since the 30s. So it's twice as heavily hit as in 2008, 2009. So that's quite a big hit. On the other hand, if you look at all the economists and all the predictions of the IMF and things like that, many people expect quite a big and rapid recovery in the coming period. So it's less bad as you would see it as from the first perspective, like, okay, it's the biggest depression since the 30s. At the same time, nobody knows how the pandemic is going to evolve, what the second wave will do, and all of these things. So it's a bit foggy how this will finally play out. But that's the first part. If you then move to the second part, how are the ultra-wealthy doing? Then they have been hit quite hard in the beginning of the year. But if you now look at the recovery of their wealth, you can see it going up, and actually it correlates quite strongly with the stock markets. And actually for most very wealthy people, this has been a dip, yes, obviously. But the trend of over more than a decade of double-digit growth of the ultra-wealthy on the long term will probably come back.
So not looking all bad, put it this way.
No, and then the most interesting part, at least the most interesting part for me, always comes when we start to combine these different views. If you look at how the ultra-wealthy are doing, if you look at how the boats are doing, if you divide these two, you have the superyacht uptake. And if you really look at it in a very detailed way, then you can see where the growth of the ultra-wealthy is. You can see where the growth of the ultra-rich is. And the most important conclusion that has been shown by the report year over year is that the growth of the ultra-wealthy is so much higher than the growth of the superyacht industry that if we can only spark more demand with that potential buyer group that is there and is growing really rapidly, the industry could go up. Obviously, this is easier said than done. So, but from an analytical standpoint, the market is growing, and we are much less growing than the market.
Alessandra, how do you feel about it? Are you also seeing green shoots of a recovery?
Yeah, I think I'm happy that we're able to bring some positive news from the industry, because we've just finished analyzing August market data. So looking at the pre-owned market, which is our core business as brokers, we've seen very reassuring numbers. In July, we were still behind the performance of last year, whereas in August, I can confirm that the market is reaching the same level as 2019, with 280 pre-owned yachts sold over 24 meter. It's in line with last year, let's say, performance. And if we look at the performance of the market over the last 11-year average, which is the time frame which the industry has with the systematic data collection, we've seen an increase of 20%, which is, I think, a good explanation or a good support to say that the market is still there. It keeps growing. It goes in, obviously, up and down movements due to the contingent situation, but the demand for yacht is there. So for what we hear from our clients, there's never been a better time than now to own your own space and to be there in a controllable environment. So we're positive.
Arthur, are you also cautiously optimistic?
Yeah, maybe even a little bit more than cautiously optimistic. I have to say that after, let's say, Feb, the economies came tumbling down, and what we see immediately that the uptake in the market, which was there at the beginning of 2020, was gone, and really gone. It had to do with the wealth, because that was decreasing very fast, but also the attention span of potential owners. They were worried about their families, they were worried about the businesses, their colleagues, and so on and so forth. There's just not enough room in the heads to move into a new yacht, for instance. Next to that, on top of that, visiting a yard in that period can be described as extremely challenging to come to Europe, for instance. Now, after the summer, and that's exactly, I think, as what you bring on the table, we see a significant uptake on people reaching out to us for discussions or potential sales of yachts. So we're more happy in the last 6 to 8 weeks than we were before the summer. And hope, let's say, it continues. There will be a challenge soon with a possible wave number 2. But I think we're ready for that, but I think we will end better than we expected a couple of months ago.
As you know, one of the most tangible effects of this crisis is the cancellation of boat shows, of course. Are they here to stay in a COVID-19 world, or is it time for a drastic reset? Exactly 1 year ago, when the world looked completely different from now, we were at the Monaco Yacht Show, so let's refresh our memories to start with. Happy memories indeed for most of us, I think. The world looked very different indeed. So Mark, Hypsos is one of the largest brand experience specialists worldwide and a market leader in the super yacht industry. Just to get an idea, last year Hypsos created and built 31 exhibition stands at the Monaco Yacht Show. So Mark, these must be of course very difficult times for you. How are you coping in this new environment?
We're doing our utmost. We're a very creative company, and when I see those pictures, it would have been the 16th year in a row that we're doing over 30 booths. We go there with 11 trailers full with material, so it's our yearly big project in the company, and these are not here yet at this moment. So the whole industry is not there. So that is a big issue for us. Luckily, we also do permanent exhibitions like museums, brand experiences, and that work, we see that already coming up again. So that's a good thing. Looking at the boat shows, I think it will never come back as the way it was. Sorry.
Why is that?
Because it needs change. There are a lot of digital ways of communication. I can see that clients, for instance, like Heesen, they will spend the money on marketing, but I predict that the exhibitions will be smaller, but a lot of money will go targeting to, let's say, the 10 top clients they want to speak to and make special events just for those 10. And at the same time have a permanent exhibition at their own headquarters. So it's a get-together. People want to see each other. We can have this discussion over Zoom, but it will never give the energy and it will never give the vibes. We will never know each other like we know here each other on the table. And that's the beauty of boat shows and events. People want to see each other. And that will never go away. I'm a true believer of that.
Do you think that boat shows had maybe become a little bit too big? Too almost industrialized, if you wish?
Well, I think they have become too expensive. That's for a fact. So I think that when I speak to my clients, they're all saying, Mark, if it's really, and they're not talking about the part that they have to pay to me, but it's everything. It's the hotel, it's the flights, it's the accommodation, it's what they have to pay for the square meters. So and that's what COVID has brought us. Everybody is going to relook at the cost. Is this really necessary? So in a way, I think it's a positive thing because that was necessary.
So boat shows in the future more bespoke, smaller, cheaper?
More, yeah, Yeah, so cheaper in the way that it will always be there. I know for sure Monaco Boat Show, Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, they will always be there. Dubai Boat Show, they will be there. But I think the basis will be more simple and the tailor-made project will be more bespoke.
Alessandra, do you feel that the boat event industry needed a reset?
Well, I completely agree with what has just been said, because I think we need to look at the boat show from two different perspectives. If you look at them from let's say, a company perspective, there's no doubt that they bring little or no return to the company. Then when you look at it from a client perspective, I think these yacht show are really a social event. It's part of the glamour and of the lifestyle of this industry that we cannot forget or cancel. They enjoy being there. It's not necessarily the place where they decide to buy a yacht. This is why we need to rethink on how to reach them and give them their experience and the glamour at the same time.
Arthur, let me ask you a slightly different question about boat shows. If you had to design, create your ideal boat show, what would it look like?
Well, first of all, I would step away from the collection of everything what has to do with yachting. You can buy swim classes and a super yacht of 300 million at the same boat show. That's confusing sometimes. Also, what's very confusing to our customers is the amount of people coming to the booth trying to sell you something instead of trying to buy something from you. So there's a lot of collateral things around you all the time. So targeted marketing is one. And what foremost I would like to change is talk to you targeted people, talk to your customer what might become relevant to you in that segment you operate. Combined with the fact that if you look at traditional boat shows, it's a show of showing the sterns of boats. They're all in front of you. You have no moment in time to display your boat in a way which looks best, looking at the side of the boat. So it's very complex to show off, because you come there, pay a lot of money, as Mark said, to show off your products and expose your products and talk to the clients. And you show only a little part, so it's very hasty, it's very crowded, and I would love to see a boat show where there can be attention to super yachts, working with the professional broker entourage we have to make sure that you can cater your clients to the wishes they have. On top of that, exactly what you said, people need to be there because they have a wish in their lifestyle to be part of it. Hopefully in the future it will change a bit, and we have tools and ways of working which cater our customers a bit more than we do now.
One segment that was hit very hard is the charter market. They lost a great deal of the important summer season and the future is uncertain. I'm delighted to have one of the leading full-service yachting companies at this table today with Alessandra Nenci from Fraser Yachts. Tell us about how you've handled this crisis and the past few months.
Yeah, it's been very intense, especially the first period. It's been challenging, but also interesting at the same time. Intense because obviously every company has been confronted with the need to reorganize a business and to also make scenarios to protect the company employment, to protect the company cash flow and financial solidity. So we've all made the effort to analyze, try to understand what was happening in a very uncertain scenario. Nobody was prepared and nobody could imagine what we were going through and what could happen next. So the difficulty has been to really reorganize the business and rethink, which is what we're still doing, but a lot has happened in a few months, I would say even more intense than usual due to this, but I think we're all coming up with new ideas and new way of, let's say, developing our business. The other challenge, big challenge we faced is the charter market, because this has been certainly the most affected segment of the entire yachting industry, because the reduction in mobility, the quarantine, and the, let's say, changing regulation and country-specific regulation on a daily basis has made it extremely difficult to make charters happen. But in the end, we've seen that although we've lost business in this segment, a lot of charters have happened successfully. We've been able to manage, even in this, let's say, changing scenario, because this is one of the biggest challenges. So we have seen that it can happen. Certainly, the short-term trips are penalized because of this travel restriction, but we've had good long charters happening, safe, and with clients that completely enjoyed the trip. So I think we're now positive because we have better tools now than we had in the beginning of this pandemic to, handle the next charters for our clients.
I think you touched a real point, what I hear from customers, which is very relevant. After the initial semi-panic on the pandemic and what it would mean for you and your family, how safe are you, and we have all the tests in place and all these kind of things are now active, was the transparency of the legal framework. If you go somewhere, are we able to charter and not send back? Can we go on board and enjoy your trip? Yeah. Now, if that becomes clear, which has become clearer the last 2 months, then it opens up again. So we also need clarity what you can do. Can I visit it? Can I go off board? Am I not isolated somewhere in the Mediterranean, but can I actually go home after 2 or 3 weeks? And I think it's a big driver for us if we have better rules, better protection on getting in, getting out. That will help us change back to a semi-normal world in the next 6-7 months.
Yeah, this is key to make especially charter happen. And from charter, people have the real experience and move to buying yachts very often. So the charter is the first experience.
Correct.
So we necessarily need to help our client to make it happen. And the regulation and the legal framework is the biggest challenge at the moment because it's changing on a daily basis.
Now, COVID-19 has had a big impact on yacht builders as well, not only in terms of sales, of course, but also to ensure a healthy working environment and keep production delays to a minimum. We're going to talk about it with Arthur Brouwer, CEO of Heesen Yachts. So, yes, a big impact on your operations. You've got 400 people working at the shipyard in Os, and your priority was to keep them safe.
Absolutely. We've got 400 of our own people and several hundred of our suppliers working at the same time. That meant for us quite a challenge when COVID first wave came to us. Because working on a ship, if you build it, you bring people in the same space, very close to each other. And obviously, that's one of the worst things to do. That meant we had to redo our whole way of operations. We went to a situation that we now have 3 shifts, starting unfortunately at 5 o'clock in the morning and working to 10 o'clock in the night. But at the same time, if you do that, you have fallout of people with complaints. We send people home quite quickly if they have COVID complaints. We have them tested. Their family was impacted. And you have to take into view that we operate from Os. Os is a big place in Brabant, and Brabant was the part of the Netherlands which was hit the worst in the beginning. So there was quite a bit of tension around us, and nobody knew exactly in the beginning what to do. So we shifted, we made room for all the people, take all the precautions in the office workers in the offices could work from home as much as possible, but not all of them, because we have an operation to do. We work with our hands. We're a huge factory, and we have to continue that. That meant over the next 3, 4, 5 months, we lost some efficiency because working in shifts is different than with all the same people dedicated at the ship at the same time. And what we did, and that was quite a decision, is to refocus the work to the boats which we actually have sold, to our custom projects, and to our platform boats or speculation yachts which already have found an owner. That means for now we have been able to guarantee delivery times on the dot, on the day they should be in the water, on the day they should be delivered, they all are being delivered. We delivered boats, we produced the boats, and the delays we have is in our speculation portfolio. And then we hit 1 week to 4 weeks delays at this moment in time. So all in all, pretty good. Yes, we had impact also to our people who lost parents, for instance, to COVID. But I think we found a way now with all our people and all the partners and suppliers, which will guarantee production also if a second wave hits us.
But challenges remain, of course.
Yes.
And what would you say are the biggest challenges right now?
The biggest challenges is not reaching out to the clients. The new tools, everybody get used to Zoom or Zoom-like, whatever you use. The biggest challenge is to show the product real life, to touch the fabric, to see the boats, to see the quality, what do we do, and to finalize the contract. Because people need to sit on the table to do it. Yes, we have also customers, as Alessandra said, they might be buying a project, but we sell very, very expensive projects, and most buyers would love to see before they actually put something wet on the paper, which is called ink. For yachts, I think that's an interesting challenge. You do after sales, or you help people to do refits, or you provide services. That's not so easy now in Europe, because bringing a team to the south of France would mean, for a 2 days operation, would mean that you lose your team for 14 days. So the efficiency or cost impact, if we send our mechanics out there, it's almost undoable. Bigger services now, that's for the first time in years. We're pulling back boats to the Netherlands. Normally we do it in France or in Spain. So we pull them back, and our refit teams and our mechanical colleagues will help or do the work themselves near Rotterdam. And that's quite new, but very efficient, and it's a new way of working for us.
And I think it's a good opportunity for a shipyard in this moment to attract the client at the shipyard and give them unique, personalized experiences where they can come and focus on what you only are doing.
Yeah, and that's an interesting question for you as well. Mark, I mean, do you see it happening more like micro events almost?
Yes, micro events are coming, but you can also see that the clients know exactly who to target, but you still need to get the people on one location anywhere in the world. And that is the major difference, because people, and especially when people, of course you have the people who are very rich and very young, but most of them are above 50, and they become even more worrying about traveling. So getting all the people in one location is a problem for everybody.
I think it's important not to paint a picture that is too rosy. I mean, challenges remain, of course. It's a fast-evolving situation. We all know it, but we are trying to find, of course, ways out of this crisis. And we're also trying to find ways to make progress and learn. And it's actually a question for all of you on this table. And a nice way to wrap up, I guess. What have you learned during this crisis?
Yeah, I think what we all have learned is that you need to be prepared to rethink your life, both professional or private at the same time, but always try to look forward and work on finding new ways to readapt and change, because change is part of our life, will be part of it, and this is a challenge, big challenge that we're all facing, but that can create new opportunities. It will take time. And it will take effort. So this is why we need to be conservative, try to manage our costs like every company is doing now, to be ready with the new thinking to reshape the future.
Erik, what have you learned?
I think it's almost the same as in the financial crisis in 2008, 2009. I think it hits you really hard all of a sudden. And then you worry and you think, oh my God, a lot of things will go really wrong. Then there's a period of time, and I think we're in the midst of that period where you say, hey, we thought it would be terrible. It's actually recovering a bit. And then you have a long-term trend that is affecting. And I think the mistake I try to avoid is living in the moment and not thinking about the next step already. I think that is probably the biggest challenge for all of us. Yeah. Because we always tend to exaggerate exactly the point of the graph that we're in. So in the middle of the crisis, we see, oh, the world is going to collapse. So we extrapolate it to the bottom. Then we're now a little bit better and we think, oh, maybe it's going better. But what is the long-term trend? How will this affect superyacht buying? And I can see positive things, I can see negative things. But maybe if we focus on the positive things and try to push them forward, then we can benefit even from things like this.
I think that's a very good tip, actually. Live in the moment. I think it's called mindfulness, isn't it? This principle. Mark, what do you make of it? I mean, I imagine that you nevertheless have to project yourself a little bit. You've got to bounce back. You can't just sit there and accept it.
No, of course not. Of course not. We had a long-term wish of designing our own furniture line because we have carpenters, we have designers, we have everything, and we did. So this is one of those projects which is lying on the shelf, and you're luckily always too busy, and now we did it. We sell brand experiences for clients all over the globe, and now we build our own brand experience at our headquarters because say what you do. I looked at the whole organization, looking at the agility, looking at the cost, looking at why are we doing things like we're doing. And every manager, every CEO says, yeah, that's high on my target list. But if you are in a project organization like I am, and you also, it's always the next project, the next client who gets the most attention. And it's not your own company is never your next project. And that is for now. So we are really looking at the whole organization. What can we do? What can we change? So in a way, that's what COVID is bringing us.
Arthur, your final thoughts on the matter?
Yes, what we learned was react fast, think deep, and then execute fearlessly and very, very swiftly. And then after a day, you do it again. Because it changed it so much. Our business plans are changing so much, and how to take care of the client has learned us to be enormous flexible in what we do. This industry thinks 3, 4, 5 years ahead. We don't have time to think 3, 4, 5 years ahead. We have to live by the month or the quarter. And we redo this all the time. So it makes us much more agile and much more scenario-driven than we ever were before. And that's fun, by the way. And you need good people, you need a robust organization to do that. But it has been an enormous joy for us, and I really mean this, to work with all the workers in our teams, with all the people building the boats, that they do fully understand. We'll take care of them, and they take care of our customers, and they take care of us. So that has been an interesting ride.
So it has brought people together?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Despite the social distancing?
Yeah.
And the lack of travelling? Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for your insights and for your learning points. Oh, hold on, it looks like it's time for a commercial break. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Charlotte. Sorry to interrupt you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, and I'm in great company today.
Yeah, I love the show. It's a great job you're doing. Really interesting subjects and some great ideas coming out. But I'm just thinking, don't you think it could benefit from a bit more yacht? After all, it is called YachtTalk.
That's for sure.
So I'm thinking, we have an interesting opportunity for you. Project Triton. She's a gorgeous 50-metre, full-displacement, steel-hulled motor yacht. She has wonderful accommodation for 10 or 12 guests in 5 cabins. She's got a lovely, huge main saloon and a separate upper saloon and a very amenable beach club, ideal for relaxing whilst being close to the sea. She's powered with 2 NTU engines, giving her a maximum speed of 15 knots, and she has a cruising range of 3,800 miles. So truly an ocean cruising yacht. But hold on, I think I've got something better for you. The best thing about Triton is she's ready to go now. There's no waiting for potential buyers. So Charlotte, shall we have a look at her?
Let's go.
Here she is. Isn't she great?
Wow.
Well, that's rather wonderful, isn't it?
What do you think, Charlotte?
Great, looking great. Absolutely fantastic. And a wonderful sales pitch. Thank you very much, Mark. Now, before we say goodbye, we want to leave you with the most interesting things to do on a yacht. bit of humor. Yeah, I think that will do us good. So enjoy. Do not try this at home, okay? Well, thank you very much for watching, and thank you to our wonderful guests. Best of luck for the next few months and years, maybe. Keep safe, and above all, keep yachting.